fired up here in the number 22.
Oh! Reed launches! We got trouble! Chad Reed is down and down hard! Unbelievable for your series points leader! Are you kidding me? Chad Reed is back on the motorcycle?
Wow.
How can this be?
And watch, he loses traction. And look at Chad, hits the downside.
I've had a blast, and for a little kid that, grew up in Australia. And I got to come here and live my dream of racing, AMA Supercross. I was able to win 2 championships. And man, I had an absolute blast. It was awesome.
We'll do it. His second Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship.
I gave it everything I got every time I was on the track, and that's what I'm proud of. Champ or not champs.
Anything extra, there you go.
There it is. Chad Reed on the inside and takes over the lead. Chad Reed, number 22, moves into first place. There it is. Ricky thought about the block pass there. He just didn't have the position.
There he goes. Look at these guys trying to be careful. Doesn't want to irritate Chad, give Chad any reason to mess him up for the championship.
Oh my goodness. And here comes Carmichael right back.
This is total respect right now. It's starting to heat up again now. These guys are...
And Chad Reed's getting a little impatient. Here it comes. The fans are on their feet. Chad Reed a little more power as he goes through there a little cleaner. Ricky comes right back as they make their way to the triple. Look at this. Ricky looking faster through the woods.
You and I are the only ones sitting in this whole building.
Look at this. Ricky Carmichael pops in front. Chad Reed tries to block past him and shuts it down.
Wow.
Your winner in the 250 main from Dallas, number 22, the Thunder from Down Under. Chad Reed is a perfect 4 for 4. Look at that.
Chad just drops his bike.
Unbelievable scene as they greet each other. I know Ricky did the classy thing, but that was painful. Victory lap for the 4th week in a row, and what an amazing turn of events. And that is one dejected young man. I mean,
yeah. Oh, it was a good race. I got my ass kicked tonight, and bottom line, he beat me heads up.
Ben Chad Reed will get the title, but what a great night it has been here in Las Vegas.
To be one of only 2, foreigners to ever win this world championship, speaks volume of how prestigious and how hard and gnarly this series is to win.
Reed will do it. His second Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship.
I gave it everything I got every time I was on the track, and that's what I'm proud of.
I recently texted Dazzy, who is the Lawrence brothers' father. I just kind of, text him and say, congrats, the boys crushed it this year. He wrote back. He says, thanks, mate. You created the... Yeah, for me, that it's a proud moment because never in my growing up would have I thought an Aussie was going to dominate, let alone 2 of them. So it's pretty cool. One big step in my life was 22 Motorsports. I raced for a lot of great teams. I had a lot of great people in my corner throughout all those times. But 22 was such a special moment for so many different reasons. I was at a point in life where, Ricky had retired and I was struggling for motivation to keep going on. Not motivation for racing. It was more just, something that drove you, day in and day out. And there was a lot of things missing. I was at a point where I needed more. I needed challenging. And we started 22 Motorsports I remember Steve Astapin's here today, and I remember him telling me it's the craziest thing I've ever thought of. But in truth be, it was the greatest thing ever. You know, Davo was our first hire, and he went to work. I believe I was in Australia at the time on vacation. And Steve got one sponsor that was at a considerable number that I felt could pay the bills, or at least half of it. And after that, I just said, let's do it. Let's go racing. Kind of just an update of where my passion come from. Started out riding horses with my dad. And then my cousin had a dirt bike. For the obvious reasons, I quickly chose to sell the horse. And motorcycles have been a part of my life. You know, it's interesting listening to other people's speeches. You know, some just passionate dirt bike riders, motorcycle riders, enthusiasts, and then one thing led to another. It's my belief that athletes are born, not raised, not taught. I was born to do this. I don't know. My dad and my mom, who are always going to be the ones that were going to be tough to talk about tonight. I don't have the bubbly story like most people do. As a child, it was me and my dad just traveling the country like everybody. And man, you just wishing that those are the memories I have of him. They were a lot of fun. I just remember I had a couple of goals in life. One was I never wanted to have a job or work in my life. I'm 43 years old and I'm going strong. I don't consider racing a job. It was everything but. He would come home with nasty old hands. He was a concreter. And I just remember as a young kid just thinking, man, I do not want to do that. And I took the passion that he supported a lot and just rode dirt bikes. I lived in such a cool era. I think of my kid and as my chance as a dad today and driving around the country, and it's all well and good and it's fun and it's what you got to do. But my childhood was, you know, my youngest pace is 11 years old. And I was 11 years old jumping on planes to Indonesia, New Zealand. You know, when you lived in Australia, you were a very large country, but that was all you had. Everything else, you had to get a passport and rock on and jump on a long plane flight. Everything that when I think of my career, you don't think about it at the time, but, you know, at 43 years old, the things I was exposed to and the things I got to see at a young age groomed me every step of the way. You know, going to Indonesia, you know, again, I really, not that Ellie would let it happen, but I can't imagine letting my 11-year-old, you know, giving him a passport and putting him on a plane to Indonesia by himself. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun doing that, and then just about that age, I was when VCRs started making their way to Australia, the magazines, and I fell in love with Jeremy McGrath. He was my idol growing up, and it's funny because the world, I think, was a bigger place back then it is today. I think our phones, everything you see, you know, it seems like it's a much smaller place, but back then it was literally, you know, watching VCR videos of how somebody else in another country got to do it, and for me, my goal from about 11 and 12 years old was to come to America. And as crazy as it seems, I never seen life happening any other way. Of course, there was bumps along the way. It wasn't as, you know, straight and easy as it could have been, but I just always wanted to come to America and race, and I got to come and do it in 2000 and when was it? Not 2000. I'm going way too far. It's too early. 1998. Actually 99. I was 16 years old, and I will never forget it. I was at San Diego. Ended up being not a bad stadium for me. But I remember being on the start line at Qualcomm and the big old TV at the end of the start straightaway, and as they pan through, with the riders, I saw myself on a TV, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be the guy that wins these races. I was always questioned. It's funny you talk about the accent. Now everyone gives me shit, says my accent's gone. Not even Aussie anymore. But in some ways, it's true. I embraced America with everything I had. And along the way, you just, for me, it's the life that I always wanted to live. And everybody embraced it. The industry. Yeah. My dad, when I was leaving, I was taking my then girlfriend, now wife, it's all good. And he did not agree. He told me that if I took her, he would wipe his hands on me. He passed a couple of years, and in some ways I'm at peace with that. But God, he was an asshole. And maybe somewhere up there, never once did he say he was proud to me, always told everybody else. But man, did I try hard to earn his respect. And he's, get his blessing. I don't know why I tried so hard, but I did.
Mr. Chad Reed. It's never easy, to walk away from something that you love as much as I do with this, but the time is right.
And Chad Reed will get the title, but what a great night it has been here in Las Vegas.
Long story short, I went home, I went to work, I raced the big bikes, and I just chased the dream. Tried everything I possibly could to, get a hold of people here in America, and nobody was taking the phone calls. We were really lucky in 2000. We had an Australian Grand Prix, and I raced the 500 Grand Prix. I was about a week before my 18th birthday, which allowed me to race the event as an 18-year-old. I didn't even remember. I was somewhere around 8th to 11th. Two other Australians at the time did well. Their phones were ringing, mine wasn't. So I kind of felt like I was missing out on the opportunity again to make the trek overseas. It's funny seeing Colin go before me. I was the biggest road racing fan growing up, still am today. My wife hates it. I'll watch Mark Marquez race and do practice on Fridays more than sit at breakfast and enjoy. But, just racing is life. And I thought that motocross was not my ticket out of Australia to go race wins again and be on the podium. But for me, that was my life, where I look back and, I raced races. I grew a family of 3. My wife and I ran every part of the team, and you didn't have a boss or anybody that could tell you to get the kids out. I didn't have to feel bad about having the kids under my truck. It was just a part of my life that was really fun. And everybody at Tutu, I am so blessed to have those people in my life still today. A couple individuals in the sport that are not here tonight. One, Jeff Fox. There's not many people that I can genuinely say that are just good humans, full-heartedly. Everybody has something, good and bad. Jeff was just amazing. He was one of the guys I will never forget. You could have a conversation with him, and it didn't matter what that conversation was. You knew it was going to get done. I didn't have to care about a contract. I didn't have to care about, calling Steve and saying, "Hey, Steve, Jeff said this. Can you follow up?" I knew it was going to be done. Gabrielle from Alpine Star, my first ever sponsor at 9 years old, was Alpine Star, and still today, my kids and I are proud proud Alpenstar wearers and an individual that is so close to me. Steve Astafan, man, were we close. We're at times brothers. And did we fight like brothers sometimes? You always need somebody that you can trust and somebody that you can, have in your corner. That Katie, my first employee, still, you're my American mom. But you're just awesome. You and Ryan, thank you so much for always being there. At the time, Mick Doohan was dominating the road race scene. And I thought that maybe my ticket out of the country was to be, I want to say a Gobert, but I never want to be like a Gobert. But, Mick is my idol as well, so we'll keep it with Mick. But just wanted to get out of the country and take on the world. I never saw Australia. I never saw my home, my friends, my cousins, listening to all the things that, I just always felt that they were always going to be there. My best friends in high school are still drinking at the same pub that I saw them at last year. I know where they're all at. I just wanted more. Anyway, I went to Europe, was able to, succeed and get on the podium a ton. And finally, a guy called Bob Moore come and asked me if I would race America. I said yes. And he's, hey, but you have to ride a 125. I don't want to ride a 125. But I'll come anyway. And it happened to be, I was riding the 250F for Yamaha Troy. I just remember coming and getting to go and do childhood dreams, riding the Yamaha track with Jeremy McGrath. And that year went well, won 6 of 7 races. And then I got to really live my dream, and I got to sign my big bike contract. From that point, I just worked hard. I really feel blessed. I think that you get asked a lot recently, like, what does the Hall of Fame mean to you? Truthfully, I didn't know what the Hall of Fame was as a child. You could ask who Jeremy McGrath was and which race he crashed, or how many seconds he won by, and I could tell you every one of them. But I never had aspirations or desire or even knew what the Hall of Fame was in any sport. I just knew bikes. My competitors are really what make my 43-year-old self proud. I think the wins, the championships could always be more. But when you race the greatest of all time and the fastest man on the planet, shit gets hard. And though I had a lot of rough Sundays, how to figure out how to, dig yourself out of the hole or pick yourself back up from a beating, I always managed to do that. And I truly believe that those two individuals in particular make, everything that I did. It's the videos, it's the conversations that you have. And once upon a time, I thought that there would be horrible conversations, but it makes me proud to be in that conversation today. So
I'm gonna miss it, but I really, really appreciate the love, support. And, hopefully I can stick around and, get to a race or 2 or 17 over the next couple of years as a fan. And, love you guys. Thank you.